You're listening to Cosmic Cousins Soul-Centered Astrology. I'm your host, Jeff Hinshaw. Cosmic Cousins is a weekly astrology podcast dedicated to creating a sacred container for deepening your connection to the cosmos. Each episode offers space for ritual, meditation, and contemplation, supporting your journey of embodied health, self-discovery, and deeper learning. Thanks for tuning in.
Gold in my skin carries the weight of my kin.
Hey, Cosmic Cousins. Welcome to another week of the podcast. This is Jeff Hinshaw. I'm here with you for the Pisces full moon lunar eclipse. It is upon us. And if you are in the United States, Canada, Central America, South America, parts of Europe, this lunar eclipse is visible. Again, it's for this Thursday. I'm recording at the morning of Thursday, August 27th into Friday, August 28th. And so I did write a Substack article that goes into the details of what time and where, but the exact Pisces full moon time is 9:18 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, found at the 4-degree axis of Virgo and Pisces. And so we're going to get into all of that today. But first, I do have an announcement to share with you. I have a new year-long Cosmic Cousins Soul-Centered Astrology certification program that is open for enrollment. I pushed back the start date a week to September 15th. So on the other side of the Virgo new moon in 3 weeks, we'll begin a year-long journey through astrology, and we're covering a lot of ground in that year. I'm really excited about it. I've created a very comprehensive syllabus, so we'll be, starting out with the foundations of astrology and really connecting to the symbols and the 12 signs and chart language and connecting to planets and houses. But as we expand out into the year, of course, I'm Team Asteroids. We'll be talking about asteroids and modern astrology, traditional and electional techniques, but also evolutionary and modern techniques, and also how astrology intersects with things like ritual and activism and professional practices too, for those that are interested in learning more about the business side of astrology. So there's a lot of different topics there. Right now we have a nice group forming. There are at least 5 spaces left. So I'm looking for some more people who want to join me in this year-long journey through the language of astrology. I've been doing a lot of writing this Leo season. So if you haven't checked out my Substack, I have quite a few articles. One of them is the astrology of the 7-day week. We are in Virgo season, even though we are greeted with this Pisces full moon. So happy Virgo season to our Virgos out there, particularly Virgo suns. But if you're a Virgo moon or Virgo rising, this is also a very special time of the year for you. And something I always think back to during Virgo season is how the 7 days of the week can be a way to ritualize and organize your life. And so if you're anything like me, you'll find comfort in being reminded that the 7-day week carries an ancient planetary rhythm. We live in a cosmic world, and so this is a simple ritual of connecting to the planets and the days of the week, because each of the 7 days of the week is named after one of the visible planets or luminaries in the sky. And so as a reminder, Sunday is the sun's day, of course. Monday is the moon's day. Tuesday, Martes, is Mars's day. Wednesday, Mercedes, is Mercury's day. Thursday, Jupiter's day. And so actually what's interesting, and sometimes you might layer this into your interpretation, is this full moon, Pisces full moon, is on a Jupiter's day. For most of us, although for some of us it's on Friday, which is Venus's day. But Pisces is traditionally ruled by Jupiter. So, it reemphasizes Jupiter for us on this Pisces full moon. And then Saturday Of course, Friday is Venus's day and Saturday is Saturn's day. And so we can organize our lives and weeks around these planetary days and honor and incorporate the planet associated with each day as a way of working with the energies that are available to us. And so as we enter Virgo season, which is a sign deeply connected to ritual and routine and discernment and the small details that make up our lives, there's this little reminder of the magic that's available to us every day of the week. And so if you want to go deeper into that, I did write an article on Substack that goes deep into, each of the 7 days of the week and the zodiac signs that resonate with it and things that you might do on those days. So you might want to check that out if you're looking for a little bit of Virgo inspiration. And I also read this article titled How Astrology Offers a Channel to Transform Existential Dread into Cosmic Healing. How Astrology Offers a Channel to Transform Existential Dread into Cosmic Healing. And so I wanted to share a little bit about this because I talk about a song that calmed my nervous system during a panic attack. And Pisces full moon, right? I associate Pisces with panic and, worry and feeling overwhelmed with emotion. And I also associate Pisces with music and song. So I wanted to share this experience that I had as someone, who has experienced panic attacks throughout my life. At many different stages of my life. And it tends to happen when I feel overwhelmed by the enormity of it all. And, that's something we could be feeling on this Pisces full moon. And so the person I was in the car with when I was having a panic attack turned on music to help calm me. I think this is also why Pisces might be connected to music because of emotional overwhelm. And so the song that played almost immediately soothed me and brought me back into my body, which is something that Pisces learns to do through its polarity to Virgo. Virgo is about connection to the body, to our day-to-day routines that ground us. Pisces is the expansion of emotional experience. And so I didn't know what I was listening to, but when the person who was driving went to change the station, I just asked them, I was like, hey, can you put that back on? That song was actually really helping me. And they looked at me with a little side-eyed grin and said, that's Harry Styles, right? And honestly, I had no idea. For whatever reasons, I had kind of written Harry Styles off. Sometimes it takes me a minute to warm up to artists who are, very popular. But after that moment, I fell in love with Harry Styles' music. And then I learned that he's an Aquarius, and I felt seen in the most cosmic of ways as an Aquarius. And the song that was playing is called Satellite, which is a very Aquarian song. And I want to remind us that this Pisces full moon, even though it's eclipse in Pisces, the North Node has already shifted into Aquarius. The song Satellite is a song about longing and relational distance. And I think this is a theme as an Aquarius I deeply resonate with. And there's sort of this otherworldly sound to this song that pulled me into its orbit. And this is part of why astrology is such an important language. I think when we feel taken over by the enormity of existence, astrology can give us a way to relate to something much larger than ourselves, and it offers shape and language to some of life's most existential questions. And so those vast and difficult to name feelings that maybe can send your mind spinning are given a channel to transform into cosmic insight and healing. And so if you're someone who tends toward anxiety or overthinking or panic, perhaps you know something about this too. Maybe your mind naturally wanders into expansive territory, into questions about meaning and time and the mysteries of being alive, which I think is very present with us for a Pisces full moon. And the interesting thing, though, and maybe this is connecting us to the Virgo polarity, is that so much of our culture gives us very few opportunities to understand or work with this otherworldly part of ourselves. We're taught to be productive and practical and organized and responsible. We're not always given the language for the more Piscean or even Aquarian expansive dimensions of being human. And astrology offers us a home for that. It offers us a home for the overactive mind to find meaning through pattern recognition, which is something I talk about in our conversation with our guest today, Branwen Schaub, who is a Pisces astrologer. We go deep into that in our conversation. Branwen is a mathematician, a math professor. And in our conversation, we also are going to read 2 poems from Heidi Rose Robbins' new book, Ask Me. We listen to a song called Surrender by Branwen's teacher, Shrikala. And we even sing a song together, pull a card from the Travel Tarot, and we close our conversation talking about Hekate, too. So you'll want to stick around for that conversation. It's a really good one. But yeah, astrology offers us language, a framework for organizing the vastness of it all. And so instead of trying to think our way out of existence, we can look to astrology or mythology. We can see symbols. We can recognize cycles. We can locate ourselves within something much larger than ourselves. Not only can that make the vastness feel a little less overwhelming, it also offers us a use for meaning and for the intuitive skill sets that we have to be utilized. And so, yes, this is a cosmic invitation for you. If you are longing to utilize your intuitive gifts, and you could join me for this year-long Cosmic Cousin Soul-Centered Astrology certification. If you're a sensitive soul who has discovered that astrology and also music, I incorporate music a lot, can help quiet the mind and reconnect you to something larger and help you make a little more space for your gifts to move through you and into the world, then I think that this program might be for you. So please visit cosmiccousins.com. There's a link in the show notes for that. And at this time, why don't we go ahead and start connecting to the energy of this Pisces full moon lunar eclipse. So take a deep breath into the water in your body. This is Pisces part of the body, which is interesting because you can't actually touch the water in the body. You can really only close the eyes and tune into it, but bless the water in your body with your breath. Connect to your feet. Pisces is also connected to the feet. Kiss the earth with your feet. This is the final eclipse in the sign of Pisces. After a year and a half of eclipses along the Virgo-Pisces axis, this closes that out. So if you have the nodes of fate in Virgo and Pisces, your nodal return is coming to a close. This is a full moon lunar eclipse that is connected to closure, endings, karmic release. Now is a time to contemplate on the bigger picture. Dreams may feel heightened. Intuition and psychic information may be more present for you at this time, but there also could be an opening in Pisces in your chart. Dream big. Now is not the time to over-intellectualize. It's rather a time to be washed in the collective waters of forgiveness and universal love and even possibility. I would say listen to music, spend time by water, watch a nostalgic movie, sing, pray, cry, dance, be open to the magic and mystery of the unknown. I'm also thinking of Dolly Parton, who's recently passed, and Tim Curry. A lot of things can shift during an eclipse season. And so what makes this eclipse especially unique is that usually an eclipse will share the north node or south node. But the north node of fate has already crossed into Aquarius, even though we're still experiencing this final Pisces eclipse. So this places us at a threshold between what is dissolving and what is beginning to emerge. And so the north node is actually exactly conjunct the asteroid Hekate, or Hekate, the goddess of the underworld, of crossroads and thresholds and liminal spaces. Aquarius, North Node, asks us to remember that our future is not something we create alone. This is a sign of community, of collective consciousness, of shared vision, and the realization that our individual liberation is deeply connected to the liberation of the whole. For me, I'm experiencing a Pisces full moon with the North Node in Aquarius, I'm going to be part of this exhibit at the Palm Springs Art Museum called Queer Arcana, where a century worth of art by LGBTQ artists who have used esoteric arts such as tarot and astrology as forms of healing, inspiration, and resistance. And so I'm going to be one of the 5 tarot readers at this event. So I'm feeling it's very Pisces because I am going to be connecting to my teacher, Rachel Pollack, who was a trans teacher and also recently passed away a few years ago. Their original artwork is for their tarot deck is in a glass display there. And so I'm going to be giving readings by this tarot deck on this full moon on Friday night. So it feels Pisces because it feels very spiritual. I'm going to be connecting to the spiritual energy of and the magic of a century's worth of art. And Pisces takes us into that vastness of human experience, the things that transcend time and place. But it's also very Aquarian because there's going to be 70 people have already booked for readings. So the tarot readers are going to have a busy night having a lot of collective conversation. So how are you experiencing both Pisces and Aquarius on this full moon? I think it's interesting. Hekate is the asteroid that is right there with the North Node of Fate. And so you might, if you have AstroGold, or you might search how to find Hekate, the asteroid. Where's Hekate for you in your birth chart? What's at 29, 28 degrees of Aquarius? Hekate standing at this crossroads reminds us to consider not only where are you going, but who are you becoming alongside others, Aquarius, and what kind of future are we creating together? I went to the Philosophical Research Society for the first time this past week for an amazing workshop on the moon phases in a progress chart. That was by Pluto Babe, is her Instagram handle, Tia. It was an amazing workshop, and I learned a lot. So that's what that's making me think of in my own personal life. So as you release what has reached its natural ending, as we find ourselves at the end of this North Node in Pisces, Pisces full moons often do bring closure. We are beginning to be called towards greater participation in the collective with the North Node shifting into Aquarius. Finding your people, contributing your unique gifts, remembering that you are part of something much larger than yourself. Since we're in Virgo season with the sun in Virgo, our focus shifts towards work, organization, and health this time of year. We might be feeling the need to micromanage or over-perfect things, but the Pisces full moon is here to balance that out. This full moon is 1 degree from the asteroid Astraea, so I am bringing in these very not often talked about asteroids. It's the asteroid of cosmic justice, Astraea. And Pisces, I think her symbolism reaches far beyond systems of justice here on this planet. It's into something much more universal. Cosmic justice reminds us that not everything is ours to balance or correct or control. Sometimes we are asked to trust that life itself has a way of restoring balance, even if we don't understand it or we can't see it yet. And so with this final Pisces eclipse and Astraea in Pisces right there, it is inviting us to surrender our need for immediate answers and allow the greater wisdom of the universe to reveal what is being brought back into alignment. So what might you release if you fully trust and believe that everything will work out? Perhaps even better than you could have planned for. I think those will be our phrases for this Pisces moon. I trust, I believe, I release. I trust, I believe, I release. So you might write those down. You might fill in the blank. You might pull a card for each of those. And these are themes that we talk about more deeply in our conversation with Pisces astrologer Branwen Schaub, founder of True Will Studio, who is a dear friend of mine and who also completed a mentorship with me, I think back in 2021 or 2022. And they were a reader for me at the launch of the Travel Tarot 6 months ago. And so I deeply respect Branwen's work and so excited to have them on the podcast today. Before we get into that conversation, I'd just like to remind you that I do offer one-on-one deep dive astrology and tarot readings. I do have new availability available on my website at cosmiccousins.com. I also offer cosmic mixtapes where I look at your birth chart and choose 12 songs and create a soundtrack based off of the soul purpose in your birth chart. Those come to you as recordings and are typically 90 minutes. So you can check all of that out on my website. But at this time, let's transition into our conversation with Branwen Schaub now. For today's Pisces full moon, I am joined by someone very dear to me, my friend and fellow astrologer, Branwen Schaub, founder of True Will Studio. Welcome to Cosmic Cousins, Branwen.
Thank you so much for having me on, Jeff. It's really an honor to be here. Long-time listener, maybe second time. I did a little recording a few years ago for you, but first time officially on the podcast.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Couldn't remember if you've actually been on for a conversation.
No, I did a.
Remember that you were on, it was for Leo, because I
Mm-hmm.
still think back to what you shared about the Leo esoteric phrase. But today I want to connect in with the Pisces esoteric phrase, which we'll definitely do
Yes.
during our time together. But first, I want to say that part of the reason why Branwen's been invited on the podcast is because Branwen is a Pisces. And
Yes, Pisces Sun.
would you be willing to share your big three with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a Pisces Sun, Leo rising, and Sagittarius moon.
So, since you said you're a longtime listener, you're probably familiar with this, but I often do personal myth making with people when they come
Yes.
as a launching pad into learning a little bit more about you. And so, the character of the story is the sun sign. So, Pisces is the mystical fish.
Mm.
The backdrop is the moon, which is Sagittarius moon in a far off land. And then the rising sign is, well, what are you doing there? Inspiring us all with your warmth, Leo
Mm.
rising. So the mystical fish in a far off land, inspiring us all with your warmth. Where does that meet you today, that personal myth?
Oh, I love that. Thank you. I mean, the first thing it brings up for me is this idea, especially with the Sagittarius moon, that I do tend to gravitate towards very widespread activities, right? College professor in the day, dance teacher in the afternoon, astrologer and tarot reader in the evening. And that's not even counting the number of hobbies and things I do outside of those three sort of business endeavors or career endeavors. And one thing I love about being connected to such potentially disparate fields, at least at first glance, they might seem very disparate, is that it allows me to bring elements across to everyone. And like you said, shining that warmth. So, how do I bring sort of the compassion and the humanistic relational lens that astrology gives me into my teaching day to day? Or how do I bring the analysis and the pattern recognition or the oratory skills of college professor into my astrology reading, right? Like connecting these fields across and letting that warmth shine between these areas.
Yeah. It is really interesting because I'm sitting across from you in many ways as a mirror because I'm
Mm,
Aquarius, Virgo. Aquarius is opposite Leo. Virgo is opposite Pisces. So we really do offer a cosmic reflection back to one another. And I'm being reminded of that particularly in this moment because the year 2026 is a year in which the eclipse seasons are having not the polarity of
yes,
signs, but the quincunx of signs. And so back 6 months ago, it was an Aquarius eclipse and then a Virgo eclipse, which typically it's Aquarius and then a Leo eclipse.
right.
And so that was a very particular time for me. That's when I was launching the Lonely Planet Travel Tarot in the world. And so it felt really magical to have Aquarius and Virgo as the eclipses. And so
Mm,
now on the other side of the year, your energy is being emphasized because we had a Leo solar eclipse and now a Pisces full moon eclipse. And so we do have that quincunx pairing of eclipses, which really means that the nodes of fate are cuspy, or some don't
Mhm.
love the word cusp. They're transitioning from one polarity to the next. And so you had mentioned to me that the Leo eclipse and then the Pisces eclipse were both very close to your natal placements. Is that true?
Yes, conjunct exactly. So the Leo eclipse, the solar eclipse, was at 20 degrees of Leo, which is my ascendant, 20 degrees in 18 minutes. So it was a few minutes off, but the Pisces Virgo eclipse coming up here on the 27th is going to be directly 4 degrees in 54 minutes on my Pisces Sun.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting year for us to just observe how these eclipses are speaking to both the Leo Aquarius polarity and also the Virgo Pisces polarity, which in many ways it's where we meet. You mentioned pattern recognition as being a skill set that you've learned through being a professor, and so I would like to share that Branwen has a PhD in mathematics. And your academic work explores inquiry-based learning. So even within mathematics, you're interested in what happens when we aren't simply given an answer, but are invited to discover something for ourselves. And so I found that pretty fascinating. And I actually, I don't know if it's because Einstein was a Pisces. I do associate Pisces with math. I think of sacred geometry. I think of trying to make sense of things that we can't see, but then we bring it into form. I'm not really sure. I feel as though you would be able to offer more vocabulary as why Pisces might be a sign that's connected to mathematics. And I'm wondering if you've ever thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I've thought about Pisces in particular, but I love this. I often describe myself as an Alice in Wonderland type mathematician. And the other thing I like to tell people is I'm not really a mathematician who enjoys numbers, just because that surprises people to think of math without numbers. I really fell in love with mathematics in college when I took a discrete math class, which is about proofs. And in proofs and proof-based mathematics, you start with a set of axioms, just a few simple things that you believe are true. Um, and then you build off of those axioms as large of a structure as you can. And it's really an exploratory process. So I think a really good example is Euclidean geometry is based on the theorem or the axiom that we're living on a 2D plane and everything we're working with is 2 dimensions. And in that sort of world, the angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. If you
Hmm.
extend yourself to a 3D world and you draw a triangle on a sphere, it has 360 degrees for the interior angles. So just changing one perspective of your world opens up a brand new playground of discovery. And you really, as you go further in mathematics, there are all of these opportunities to suspend belief in
Mm,
what you maybe think is true and say, okay, if I completely suspend my reality and I say only these 5 things are true,
mm,
or I'm going to twist something and pretend this is true instead. Let me just explore what unravels and comes out of that. And it has that very Wonderland feeling of jumping down this hole and seeing what creative, wild, imaginative things can appear. And that's really when I fell in love with math, is when I learned that you could play these sorts of games. It's also why I did not become an engineer. Because an
mm,
engineer is very, concrete and measurement and taking our 3D world, and thank you engineers for making bridges that don't collapse and facilities that don't explode. That would not be my forte. I really love the imagination aspect, and that speaks very strongly to Pisces for me.
yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say Pisces is connected to engineering, but
Mm-mm.
I'm willing to say Pisces is connected to mathematics. And I think Pisces is about infinity. And so there's
Mhm.
symbolically about like the no endness of mathematics to me. I feel
Yeah.
like it's something that maybe holds a lot of different paradoxes within it as well. And I
Yes.
do find it to be a very intuitive practice in many ways. I remember because I have Mercury in Pisces, and I actually was always really good in mathematics. It was like my favorite subject. But I would often get marked down in certain classes because I didn't follow the rules of how to get
Mm,
the answer. I was still getting the answer anyway.
yeah,
Think that there's like creative ways of like going around and finding the same solution. And even like when you're pondering mathematics, it's like you're kind of like it's like this ethereal thing that you're tuning into. And I do think mathematics can be deeply intuitive. Um,
absolutely. Yeah, there's a decent disparity between how we teach mathematics and how math has been structured for the K-12 system and the history of mathematics and how math has been discovered or created and developed in sort of the natural human approach
mhm.
to mathematics. And I love that you brought up infinity. Um, Calculus is all about the idea of the infinitesimal and being able to take smaller and smaller and smaller slices of something until you reach the paradox of, well, a single instant doesn't have a time like time to it. You have to have two moments to have a gap of time between them. And how do we uh, merge these ideas of being able to take a single slice of something while also knowing that in order for it to have depth or distance, it needs to be larger than that. And it actually made the church very angry. Calculus was not approved of by the Catholic Church, and many mathematicians were ostracized for thinking about infinity or about infinitesimally small matters because only God was supposed to be able to have that sort of, I don't want to say power, but authority or control. So there's a lot even of weaving in religion and mathematics and using it as a tool for how we understand the world.
Yeah. And maybe this is really where Pisces and Aquarius meet, is
Mm,
of intuitive mind that's connected to spirituality and the unknown meets the science
hmm.
of Aquarius. Um, but yeah, there's like fractals and probability and chaos theory, and like there's just so many different like complex ways that it can allow us to understand. But I also think there's a connection to music with math too.
Yes.
And Pisces is often a sign that we talk about as a sign that rules over things like music and poetry and imagination. So, um, yeah, maybe that can bridge us from mathematics into music and even dance. So, those are also expressions that you have in your life too.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been Irish dancing, gosh, well over 20 years now. I did ballet and a little tap and jazz intermixed, but primarily Irish dance, and quite competitively. I traveled all over the US and a few times overseas to Ireland and Scotland as well. Traveled all over the world with Irish dancing. I really feel the Sagittarius moon there, and it's in the fifth house for me as well. So just this creative expression, this Leo expression of Sagittarian energy. And I've always felt deeply connected to music and rhythm and expression through the body. Irish dance in particular as well, there's so much pattern in it. As a dance form, you start with your right foot in front and you'll dance for 16 bars of music, and you'll end with your left foot in front and then repeat that entire sequence again on the left side of your body. So this very like mirror image reflection that's present in the dance, which was always great for me with my mind and like pattern recognition and these skills that I enjoy. It was very easy for me to reinterpret something on the other side of my body and make it feel like that mirror image.
So I had mentioned to you that I wanted to reflect on the esoteric phrase for Pisces for this Pisces full moon, which is something I often do in my practice is bring in the esoteric phrases. I don't do it every time, but for some reason I was feeling called to it because I do think the Pisces esoteric phrase is one that I've been a little resistant to.
Mm,
Hasn't fully like landed or resonated. And so maybe on this eclipse, there's an opportunity for us to like really feel into it and embody it and understand it. So I had sent it to you before our conversation for us to reflect on, and we've already been texting a little bit about it too. Um, so I would like to say the phrase, and then I'd like to hear you say the phrase so that we can both receive it.
Mm,
So the esoteric phrase for Pisces is I leave my father's home and turning back I save.
mm. I leave my father's home, and turning back, I save.
Yeah.
Mm.
How is that phrase meeting you today?
Oh, it's so tender. So, as you know, my father passed just over a year and a half ago. We both had Saturn in Pisces. It was right at the end of my Saturn return. And so just the idea of fathers is very tender for me to this day. And the big question I have for myself right now with this esoteric phrase is the lack of a person or noun at the end of this phrase. I save you, I save me, I save us, right? Like where is this saving happening? And where do I feel that in me right now?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this phrase a lot through the experience of loss of
Mm,
a father, um, whether through death or through estrangement, but reflecting on the parts that we inherit
mhm,
from our father. And I think I've been resistant to this phrase because it feels kind of religious to me.
mm,
Yeah. And particularly very Christian, which is what I grew up going to church, and I've had estrangement with my family because of their religious views. So I think it's made me think of that. And there's even been times where I'm like, let's change it to I leave my cosmic home and turning back I save. And then I'm like, when I started thinking about it, and especially like you and knowing what you've been through as a Pisces as well, and the
mm,
connection that you and your father had through the lens of Pisces and Saturn and Pisces, in some ways, it feels like Capricorn themes to me to be reflecting on father, but it's coming up. And I have Heidi Rose Robbins' new poetry book here with me called Ask Me. That is also a book that follows the loss of her father in the 4 years of like reckoning and reclamation that followed. And it just came out,
yes.
Lunar Eclipse. And so here we are on the full moon. And so it seemed like an appropriate time for us to connect with it, especially through this lens of like Leo new moon going to Pisces full moon. And so I was thinking about Heidi, and I know Heidi has strong Pisces placements, and you and me, and how we all have something. The three of us and all of us have something with Father, but why do we think it's coming up for Pisces?
For me, especially with the comparison to the Leo solar eclipse, right? The Leo phrase being I am that I am, just the sort of oneness
Mhm.
with divine or universal energy. And then the Pisces element being the separation from that, and separation from God and the divine, separation from the lineage and the home or the father. There's something in it for me, especially in comparison to Leo, of how do I separate from oneness and retain identity, retain myself, while also honoring where I've come from, and in some ways carrying that legacy on in my own way. There's a lot in terms of legacy for me, and the way in which legacy shines uniquely through me.
Hmm. Yeah, and there's a moment when we have to leave, whether
Yes.
we have to leave the planet or we have to leave a relationship that no longer supports us. And so sometimes that leaving is chosen. Sometimes someone else leaves us. Sometimes death does the leaving for us. Sometimes we discover that the home we came from can no longer be our home. Um, but I think the second part of the phrase, I love what you're saying, is that it's almost, in some ways, can become a Mad Lib and turning
Mm,
I save and then fill in the blank.
Exactly.
Um, um, but turning back doesn't necessarily mean like physically returning. It doesn't have to mean reconciliation. I don't think it has to mean rescuing our fathers.
No.
Yeah. So there is some mystery to it too.
Yeah, it's a sort of internal turning back of for myself the forgiveness or reclamation and ownership of that history, and maybe in turning back and witnessing and integrating that there is saving for myself. There is saving in a sense of when I own myself more fully and live for my whole self, through my whole self. I do in a way save those around me by being a model or an example of integration and healing.
Yeah.
Right, sort of the idea of by letting my own light shine, I'm giving permission to others to shine as well.
Yeah. So I grabbed Heidi's new book, and started to flip through it, and out popped a little card. And it's one of those. Elizabeth Rayner is one of Heidi's best friends, and she makes these little affirmation cards.
Yes.
And the one that popped out when I opened the book was, "You are safe, little one."
Mm,
And so there's that word safe or save, and turning back, I save. You are safe, little one. And then my first thought was Virgo, I am the mother and the child is the esoteric phrase for Virgo. And then I leave my father's home, and then here's this little affirmation, you are safe, little one. So I also thought that was a little cosmic wink that was redirecting my relationship to this esoteric phrase is like, I save
mhm.
my little one. I save myself, and turning back, I save my little one. And I wonder what that phrase brings up for you. You are safe, little one.
Wow. Yeah, I that just made my heart just squeeze in the most beautifully grief-filled, painful joy way, in the way that grief is not really an emotion, but an experience of so many emotions at once. Oh, I I really I feel my father's love in that, in the love that I was not always receptive to growing up, and in the way that when someone has left this earthly plane and the choice to accept that love in a different form on the other side, and letting myself be the little one in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, through the lens of estrangement, there is the ability to love from a distance
Yeah.
and to continue to cultivate, whether it's forgiveness or compassion and understanding for even your own father's little one that
Right.
didn't receive the love that they needed. So, Ask Me is the title of this book, and it says Poetry and Prose by Heidi Rose Robbins. And again, this book just came out, and the cover it has these kind of watercolory blues and turquoise and teals and a little bit of orange splashing through. And so I'm gonna read a poem from this, and then we can reflect on it. I feel called to read the first poem.
Okay.
Um, the first section is called Departure, and the first poem of the entire book is titled Labor.
Mm,
It is a labor now to live. It is a labor of loving. You, in two places, straddling worlds, visiting the mystery, and comforting those still here on solid ground. Time spirals, and I am every age by your side, and every age I am loving you. You are laboring now, choosing your exact moment for departure. The veils are thinning, The veils are thinning. Soon you will be everywhere.
Thank you.
Another one. Yeah. A great release. Two leaves in a bare tree hang together, rattling and knocking. Each little waft of wind encourages one to encourage the other to let go. A tiny hummingbird on another branch settles only for a moment as if showing the leaves how to set themselves free. Watch me, she says, and away she goes. And I sit beneath the barren tree, two chairs and a table. One chair is for me, one for Dad, who is here, but also across the ocean. And he is a leaf, and I am a leaf, and we are negotiating a great release. The sun watches, warms, and waits. The plane far above travels somewhere new, distant, unknown. And here we are, the leaves, the sun, the birds, the sky, Dad and I, and the unstoppable flow of love and time. We will whisper together just a little longer, and then let go.
Wow. Thank you for sharing those. And thank you, Heidi.
Yeah. Did any lines stick out to you?
Hmm.
Or did they simply wash over you in that Piscean way?
Oh, so Piscean. Um, my first thought with the first poem you read about labor um, sparked something in me. Before our conversation, I was reading a little Alan Oken on astrology and reminding myself that the Pisces constellation has the two fish, and the star at the base of the two fish is called, I think, El Rasha. Resha. I might be mispronouncing that, but it means the cord.
Mm,
And so there's this sense for me of cord connection, umbilical cord,
mm,
and the labor that starts in Pisces as we're rebirthed in Aries. So just that idea of labor or labor into the other side,
yeah,
right? Off of this earthly plane. So I thought that was such a beautiful way for Heidi to open the book and to think about that transition stage
right,
and how Pisces really honors that transition stage.
right. Like going into labor as in birth, but also as in release. And
Yes.
so I leave my father's home and turning back, I save. I would encourage you, if it resonates with you, to write that phrase down for whoever is listening and just bring it into your meditation for this Pisces full moon and see what it might unlock within you. And also remember how I said I was resistant to it. If there's parts of you resistant to it, maybe there's an opportunity to sit with those parts as well. Yeah. So Branwen and we have looked at our composite chart together, and
Yes.
we knew, like, I'm at the end of Aquarius and Branwen, you're at the beginning of Pisces. So when I did the math of our degrees, I was like, ooh, we're either going to be a Aquarius Sun at 29 degrees or a Pisces at 0 degrees. And do you remember which one we fall on?
I think we're Pisces, but we guessed Aquarius. We were wrong on all of our guesses.
Yeah. So we're 0 degrees Pisces Sun in our composite chart. And we were actually together when the sun was at 0 degrees of Cancer this year when we discovered that. So we have spent the air to water seasons together this year. So we were together when Aquarius Sun moved into Pisces Sun during the Lonely Planet Travel Tarot launch out in Joshua Tree, and Branwen was one of the tarot readers and astrologers at that event.
Yes.
Also work with the tarot. Would you like to share with us a little bit about the tarot deck you like working with the most? I think of it as the This Might Hurt tarot.
Yes.
But you also mentioned to me that you brought the travel tarot to an event this past weekend. So maybe we can just bring a little bit of combo around Aquarius and Pisces cusp energy and also tarot and how that in
Mm.
practice.
Yeah. So I I learned a lot of my tarot practice from you and the way you do your tarot journey, and I sort of let that fluidly flow into my own intuitive journey with tarot for individuals, which I feel is a very Aquarius Pisces approach to I will talk with someone, see what's alive for them in the moment. Sometimes we pick a card to be what they're visiting. Sometimes we let that card naturally appear out of the deck. And going on this journey of essentially a framework of meeting a guide, having challenges along the way, but this very fluid narrative, mythological, and archetypical sort of story that emerges uniquely for each individual. And it is this very water bending, mutable approach to the tarot, but it's based on these very rich archetypes and collective understandings of society and of being a human, which is the Aquarian piece for me. And for me on the back end, I'm doing a million and one synthesizing connections, like, oh, okay, well, I know this about their chart and we're pulling this card and this is going to be related. And there's like this whole network of symbolism happening behind the scenes for me with how I relate tarot and astrology and Kabbalah and on all of these beautiful frameworks for spiritual thinking. And yeah, I love the This Might Hurt Tarot by Isabella Rotman. It's probably the first deck I got for myself that it really just spoke to me. So I think I've had it for so long that I have this very nostalgic connection to it. I love that it has some Rider-Waite symbolism, which makes it a little more familiar, but it's a much more inclusive and modern telling of those images. I love the travel tarot now. I did just bring that to my latest tarot event, which was a really fun bachelorette party. And Jeff, the thing I love so much about the travel tarot is how much I'm continuing to learn about the world through these locations that you so thoughtfully chose. And I always read the book along with your cards because the words are so just rich and thought provoking, and the way you describe the symbolism on the card. Like, for example, I had the Three of Cups out, and it's not just that there's three butterflies on the card. You tell us exactly what's, species. I'm not sure if species is the right word, but what butterflies each of them are and which flowers are there in the picture. And everything is chosen with such Virgoan detail. And I love that aspect of the deck. So those are my two favorites. And then I just got a new one while I was on vacation, called the Tarot of the Woodland Wardens. And that one, the artwork has just been exquisite to work with. Yeah. Yeah, I love
Cool.
your deck, Jeff. Thank you so much for creating that for us and for the world.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing it out into the world and letting me know how you're receiving it. Yeah, so the Aquarius Pisces cusp is interesting for us for this full moon. I just want to name that the North Node of Fate is now in Aquarius, even though this is a Pisces eclipse. So this is the final eclipse along the Virgo Pisces axis for at least the next 9 years. And
Mm.
so the next time we have Pisces eclipses, the South Node will be in Pisces as opposed to the North Node. And so that 9 years. Um, and
Mm.
we're also together when Gemini's sun was entering into Cancer's sun. We were in San Francisco for a wedding of a dear friend who's also an astrologer was getting married. And so we got to spend a whole morning at Land's End in San Francisco. And one of my most favorite parts of that was we got to walk through this womb-like cave.
Oh, yes.
And when we got down at the end of the cave, we were looking out through the window of the cave onto the crashing waves of the ocean. And I asked you if you'd like to sing a song with me. And so I would like to sing a song together if you feel open to it. And maybe
Yes, I do.
we sang. I can't remember exactly the one we sang, but I do want to share that I just moved my dear friend Mary from Southern California to Minneapolis. Mary just relocated to Minneapolis. If you're listening to this, Mary, hi, I hope that's okay. I'm sharing that. And we stopped in Flagstaff, Arizona, was our first stop. And we learned that that is actually the home of where Pluto was discovered in 1930. And so we actually went to the observatory where Pluto was discovered. And then the following day, we walked a lava rock labyrinth singing this song. And I think it's a song that we sang together. I can't remember. And then we walked a labyrinth the next day in Abiquiu, New Mexico at Queen of Scorpio, Georgia O'Keeffe's, uh, where she lived at the Ghost Ranch in New Mexico. We walked a labyrinth there too and sang this song. So maybe we could do it call and response. Do you feel open to that? I think it's very
I
Pisces.
do.
Okay. So the song also came up in Shufflemancy for this year's Fool's Journey at the World Gathering, which is the final gatherings.
Mm.
Just like it feels like a lot of closures could be happening on this Pisces full moon for people. But either way, wherever this song finds you, maybe you'll bring it into your practice, but you can allow this call and response to wash over you. And so let's take a moment to close the eyes. We'll tune into Pisces body parts, which are the feet and also the water in the body. I release control
I release control
and surrender to the flow
and surrender to the flow
of love that will heal me.
of love that will heal me.
I release control
I release control
and surrender to the flow
and surrender to the flow
of love that will heal me.
of love that will heal me.
I don't know if that was a song we sang together.
We sang the Loosen song, but I am familiar with that song as well from working with Adriana.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
You also sent me another song that I was wondering if did we get permission to play it or was it too?
I have not heard a response yet, so we'll have to maybe that can be added to the end of the podcast if we get that response.
But maybe let's just talk about the song, and if we don't get permission before the episode comes out, then we can just I'll put a link in the show notes, but it's called Surrender.
Yeah, Surrender by Sri Kala, who's a friend of mine as well, but started as the husband of a friend of mine and a friend of a friend. The chain of connections just seems to go on. It started with you. The cosmic cousins portal just opened up. I did a mentorship with you, and the chains just have kept continuing like a domino effect, which I love. But yeah, Sri Kala has this beautiful album. I believe it's called Beautiful Dark Moon, but I should check that. The song that I love so much is called Surrender. Yeah, Beautiful Dark Moon is the album name. Surrender. And it's just exactly what it says. It's a song about surrendering. It's the last song on the album. There's so much release in it, and there's some Hare Krishna chanting in it as well, which is very potent for me. And I listened to this song, gosh, almost every day after my father passed. I had a playlist that I put together for myself, and there's just so much grace in that music and so much open heart vulnerability, and letting yourself feel everything, and letting it all be welcome, that I love in Shree's music in general, but especially that song.
what wants to fight. I'm falling into you, knowing you'll hold me tight. You don't have to move, oh please stay overnight. The sun replaced the moon and welcome the morning light. Surrender. Come as you are. Surrender. Come as you are. A pendulum is to and fro, in and out of source. A smile will come and go, watch it go back and forth. Here I'm all alone with thoughts of happiness forced. I'm destitute, searching for fire to light my torch. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Surrender. Come as you are. 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 Will you take all of me? With the family or cast away? Will you take all of me? No need to brace. I'm falling into your embrace. Surrender. Come as you are. Surrender. Come as you are. Surrender. Come as you are. Surrender. Come as you are.
That's very touching to hear that you made a playlist for yourself during that time. And again, if there's anything to do on this Pisces full moon, listen to music.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Especially, music that offers you a sense of emotional healing or emotional closure. So yeah, that takes us back to that Cancer Gemini season transferring into Cancer season. And since we experience two transitions from air to water, I remember joking with you that day that we'll be together during the Libra crossing over to Scorpio cusp. And I kind of forgotten about it until I was invited to something in Seattle. And so I'm in California, Branwen's in Washington, and I've always wanted to come up to Washington and visit you there. So Hannah, who was the musician that one of the musicians on the Leo New Moon podcast just 2 weeks ago is one of the performers at a festival, I believe it's called Star Stuff by Astrolab in Seattle. And there's going to be a festival right at the beginning of Scorpio season this year, which I'm really excited about. Hannah invited me to be their plus one. So Astrolab is the name of a contemporary astrology project that includes events that are it's described as sensory playground to experience the cosmos,
Mm.
combining astrology with things like embodiment and even music. So yeah, and so that's going to be during Libra transitioning into Scorpio, and so Branwen and I are talking about potentially going to that together in Washington. So if that interests you, maybe we will see you there. So it's Friday, October 23rd is the opening night. There's going to be like what it seems that there's like some yoga classes and astrology workshops, but also there's musicians who will be playing who I believe are solo artists and interested in the universe. Yeah.
I'm
So
really excited.
I'm excited about it too. And I was kind of joking with you like that. I like, there's always a part of me that feels like I should be going to like astrology conferences, but they don't give me like a hell yes energy necessarily. They feel more like a should, but
Mm.
this is more like a hell yes to me. I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm hoping to like meet other musicians to then have on the podcast too. So it also feels like more aligned with maybe who I am just as an astrologer. Um, how does it speak to you?
Oh, I mean, it's just so exciting to have something locally to go to. NORWAC is usually in the Seattle area as well, but I agree with you. I get so much conferencing through my work as a professor already, also that it's easy to get conference burnout. And this just feels embodied and alive, and I love music as well, and such a great opportunity to um I guess see how astrology is alive in the day-to-day person, right? Rather than just sort of this stuffy presenter to an audience sort of hierarchical format. I love this very Aquarian feel of we're going to gather together, and there are presenters and workshops, but it just feels more Aquarian.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, just the live music in general is always a hell yes for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's just in 2 months. So, yeah, presented by Astrolab Productions, this 3-day festival features more than 15 unique performances by solo artists. And I actually think it's quite affordable too. So, yeah, check it out. I'll also put a link to that. And I know that that's the Taurus full moon weekend as well. And
mm,
so Hannah's actually going to be the guest on the podcast. I'm going to record an episode with Hannah in person in Seattle that weekend while we're there for the Taurus full moon. So we have that to look forward to. Branwen, we're getting close to the end of our time together. I think there's two things I'd like to do with you before we close out. One of them is I would love to hear about the name True Will Studio, which is the name of your offering as an astrologer. And I'd also love for us to maybe pull a tarot card. Do you have a deck close by, or do you want me?
I brought the travel tarot with me,
Oh,
of
you did? Okay,
course.
cool. So, yeah, tell us True Will Studio.
Yeah, so True Will Studio is actually legacy from my father. So my father was an astrologer, and as well as a counselor and a behavioral support analyst for children, especially children with special needs. And when he passed away in February of 2025, I have to remember my years now.
I,
Um, yeah, February of 2025, right on the Pisces new moon of that year. And I was already studying astrology. I had kind of come into it for myself in 2020, 2021. I think I worked with you in 21 or 22, Jeff. Um, And before that, astrology had not really been a part of my life or my childhood. It was actually a very traumatic pain point in terms of my parents' decision to divorce around my father's interest in astrology and occult sciences, and my grandmother as well is an astrologer. So it's been in my family for a long time, but not in my immediate childhood. And when the pandemic struck and Saturn was in Aquarius and starting to pass over my descendant as well, I felt this yearning to re-find my own spirituality, re-find an understanding of this language, and astrology and occult and esoteric practices, just if anything, to understand my childhood better and to understand my father better. And I could not learn from him. That wasn't really an option in terms of feeling productive and feeling safe. And so I found Jeff, which was amazing. And, towards those last couple of years of my father's life, not that I knew it at the time, but it really felt like this journey of learning how to speak this language in my own way so that I could connect with him. And I'm really thankful that we had those last few years together where astrology was the safe topic for us. Funny enough, that was the thing we could connect over. And I have several tattoos now that are sort of emblematic of that relationship and that connection to him. And now I do feel like there is a piece of me that was perhaps preparing for this death in some way. And he did choose to take his life. And I was aware that that was a very strong potential reality in my future at some point. And his mental health was definitely struggling towards the end. So I knew it had a potential of coming, as unfortunate and tragic as it was. And so when he passed, I felt ready to carry on his work in some way. And he had True Will Astrology, and I expanded that into be True Will Studio, to encompass tarot and some somatics and more body work and photography, all sorts of creative endeavors that are part of how I embody my spiritual truths and help other people find that sort of meaning for themselves. And the name itself, True Will, it is occult in nature. And my dad was a very heavy occult practitioner, which I am not, but I wanted to keep the name. And for me, True Will is the combination of free will and living your truest, highest self. We can do anything we want. We have free will. And so how do we work within that framework to live a life that has the fullest expression of ourselves and of our soul's evolution?
Wow. I know Branwen pretty well, and I'm not sure that I knew that that's where the name came from.
Yeah, it's my dad's.
Wow. And I love how you inherited the name and you made it your own.
Yes.
And so studio can encompass all of your many other Sagittarian moon interests as
Yep.
well.
Anything artistic. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting this a father who divorced because of astrology beliefs. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, I was actually just finishing a book, and in it, there's a detective who goes crazy because he's trying to use occult sciences and astrology to crack a case, and is reading a lot of Aleister Crowley and intense things, and this final scene with him where he kind of runs out of his office having conjured, and at least for him, believing he's conjured a demon, and there's pentagrams painted all over the room and stuff, and his family has to pack him away in an ambulance. And I was like, oh, hey, I remember that from my childhood, right? Like this sort of intense depth that my dad, he's very, very Scorpio person, these very, very intense depths that he went to, among other things as well, of course, just even basic personality traits between him and my mom. And I love them both very, very dearly. And they were better not together. They had a lot of growth to do as individuals after their time together. But yeah, incredibly painful occult instances in my childhood.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a whole nother topic too, is particularly through Pisces or any of the water signs and mental health and, you know,
Hmm.
practices like astrology often offer comfort and vocabulary to those prone to anxiety and existential dread and overthinking, helping us turn things that feel chaotic or overwhelming into something that we can contemplate and understand. But it can also do the inverse too. It can exasperate those qualities too if we go too deep.
Yes.
This is a conversation that I would continue to like to have and better
Yeah.
understand and maybe even come more into collaboration with other fields of research like psychology, um, and build a bridge between psychology and astrology, which there are practitioners doing. Um, yeah, so thank you for sharing that. And I'm thinking about the role astrology can play in as a belief system in some ways that where two people might not see eye to eye, which also can happen with like family estrangement if religious views and astrology are
Hmm.
having a bridge that's being built through them. And so this idea you brought in the architecture of an engineer with a bridge earlier, and like now we're talking about it more too. And so maybe there's something about bridges coming through for us,
Mm.
building bridges from generation to generation. Um, I'm thinking about Heidi as well as a second generation astrologer like yourself too. And I think there's a way for all of us to honor that which we came from, that umbilical cord, as you were saying,
Yes.
is another bridge. So yeah, well, maybe let's close out our time together now with pulling a card. You said you brought the travel tarot,
Yes.
which is fun for me to not pull from it, but to have someone else pull from it.
Dun, 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 dun. I have it right here. Ugh,
Let's tune into the collective for this Pisces full moon. Your hair is getting so long.
I know. I love it. It's very mermaid,
Oh, I
mermaid
was gonna
hair.
say Pisces hair.
Okay. Tuning into the collective. Right here. Okay, I'm gonna flip it up to the camera here for both of us.
Sorry, my jaw dropped.
We've got the Six of Swords.
The card that I pulled the day that I got to this new house.
Wow.
Yeah, so okay. But I'll let you look at it and experience it too. And then we can talk about it.
Yeah, so funny. So the tarot, the bachelorette party I just did, this was I was pulling one card from each of three decks for the readings, just very, very short mini readings. And this is the first card I pulled at the bachelorette party as well for someone.
Interesting.
So yeah, Six of Swords, which in your deck is the Isla del Sol in Bolivia. And gosh, this is my card for ancestors. I don't know about you, but when I think, swords and that mental connection and that yeah, I guess mental connection and then sixes for me are always very ancestral cards. So for me, this is a card that speaks to a mental. I almost feel like when I can hear my dad sort of talking to me just over my left shoulder, like that's usually where I feel his presence. It's that sort of energy. And in the Six of Swords card, you have this family with a llama. There's a llama or an alpaca, I forget.
Llama.
Llama, yeah, which I love the llama in the boat with them traveling to a sun celebration, right? This very ancestral gathering and this sense of family and travel and reclaiming lineage, which I think speaks directly to our conversation today.
Mhm. Do you want to read some of the book for us?
I do. Mm-mm-mm. Six of Swords. Leaving hardship in search of brighter days, the Six of Swords represents a journey with the intention to uplift one's spirit amid struggle. Isla del Sol, a sacred island on Bolivia's Lake Titicaca, was revered in the Inca Empire as the birthplace of the sun god Inti and the first Inca ancestors. In this image, a family and their pet llama are rowing to their ancestral homeland. Their journey reflects the enduring resilience of Andean communities who maintain indigenous traditions despite centuries of upheaval. In Bolivia, llamas are cherished companions woven into daily life. Their calm presence is a steadying force on any journey. Upon reaching the island, the family will take part in a festival honoring the sun, where music, dance, and ancient rituals celebrate renewal and the unbreakable bond between past and present. Mm. Yeah, I love this card.
Something that I've discovered this week without getting too into all of the details of it, but Hecate, the asteroid, has recently been brought into my conscious awareness, and I am being initiated into Hecate right now. I'm realizing because Hecate over the past month has transited my Aquarius Sun and then entered Pisces, station retrograde, and just a few days ago, this past week, re-entered Aquarius. And so Hecate is exactly conjunct the North Node of Fate on this full moon. And so this full moon is found at early degrees of Pisces, 4 degrees of Pisces to be exact. And the North Node's at 29 degrees and Hecate's at 29 degrees of Aquarius. And the reason I'm bringing that in is because the North Node of Fate is connected to eclipse energy. So I wouldn't typically talk about a Pisces full moon with this kind of cusp energy, but since the North Node is there, and then also Hecate is the companion, which is like the person rowing the boat, and the Six of Swords is the person who is like a guide. And so, what I find interesting, especially now that the North Node's in Aquarius, is having co-presence with Pluto, which is connected to the underworld, and Hecate is also connected to the underworld. Hecate hears Persephone crying, and she goes and retrieves Persephone and offers her light with her torch and companionship. The interesting thing, though, is that although Hecate, who is the goddess of the crossroads in the underworld, offers light and companionship, she can never tell Persephone which way to go. She can only offer companionship and light. So Hecate does not have the wisdom to share with you about like outcomes of certain free will or true will, you know?
Yeah.
But so makes me think of friends that offer you companionship, but can never really truly tell you what to do, or tarot readers or astrologers. I think a lot of us embody Hecate in many ways because we also can't tell you what to do, but we can maybe align you with your chart or give you some insights. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to get quiet and listen. And so there's an element of that throughout the collective right now because the North Node and Hecate are conjunct. And I'm connecting it to the Six of Swords. And I'll continue to talk about Hecate throughout the fall because Hecate is now traveling at almost the same speed as the North Node of Fate throughout the fall retrograde. And then
Wow.
you also have Venus is soon going to enter her pre-retrograde shadow. Venus will go into Scorpio and then back into Libra this fall too. And when Venus is going retrograde, especially like a sign like Scorpio into Libra, uh, it has Persephone energy to it. So yeah, I think this Pisces full moon is also beginning to activate and awaken this deeper journey that we're heading into this fall. But there is support. Hecate offers us that support. And so look to see where Hecate is in your birth chart too, since Hecate is right there with the North Node of Fate. I think that could be interesting. I learned that I have Hecate conjunct my Scorpio midheaven, which made a lot
Wow.
of sense for me in the ways that I hold space as a tarot reader. Um, do you know where Hecate is in your chart?
No, I'm so curious now. I'm gonna have to look it up after, or you could look it up now, but we
I'm
can.
Well, Pluto and Aquarius did delete all of my birth charts.
Okay,
So I might have your
I'll go look it
I
up later.
might not, but either way, that's just some little cosmic cookie crumbs for you. And I'll probably talk a little bit more about that on this podcast anyway, but it is being reiterated here in this conversation. If people would like to learn more about you and your offerings, Branwen, where might they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at true.will.studio and my website truewillstudio.com.
Cool. And we'll put links to that in the show notes. And thank you so much for carving out this space in your life for this Pisces full moon.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
And the people I've left behind, leave me behind, leave me behind.
Thank you, as always, Cosmic Cousins, for tuning into the podcast. Without you, this show would not be possible. A special thank you to Jolie Kabrinsky and Dara Schreiber for being founding members of the podcast, and to all of those who are part of the Substack subscribers, monthly subscribers. Thank you so much for your contribution. And to all of you who have booked readings with me, thank you for that. I've had some people ask me what's the best way to support the Travel Tarot, like where's the best place to buy that? And actually, the best way to support my work and to keep this podcast continuing to be offered to the collective is to book a reading with me. That helps sustain me as an astrologer, and so I appreciate the support there. And you can also always send me a donation. You can buy me a coffee. You can look for the link for Venmo, Cosmic-Cousins. If you'd like to buy me a coffee or a meal sometime, you can also do that. That also helps to support my work. And again, I have a lot of new articles out. The one that I like right now on Substack is Choose Your Medicine. It's a 7 of Cups tarot reading. So if you're interested in learning more about the 7 of Cups, you might check that one out too. I also recently wrote an article about primal astrology, which takes your Chinese zodiac sign and merges it together with your traditional zodiac sign. And so, interestingly, my primal astrology is the sloth. So I write about learning to slow down in the age of burnout and talk about the sloth as an archetype. And I recently also wrote an article titled Astrology, Racism, and the Shadows We Must Confront, a response to recent events in the astrology community with Stephen Forrest's remarks about racism and accountability. This article is within our astrological community. So yeah, I've been writing a lot on Substack, so you might check that out. And again, the year-long course is coming up starting on September 15th. So if you're interested in learning and growing through the language of astrology with me this year, I would love to be a facilitator and guide for you in that experience. Again, thank you, Dr. Branwen Schaub, for joining us today on the podcast. After we got off the call, we did look up Branwen's Hekate placement. They also have Hekate on the midheaven like me, so that was really interesting. I'm getting initiated into working with this asteroid now that Hekate is conjunct my sun, and also the North Node of Fate. So if you're interested in learning about where Hekate is in your birth chart, we can also do a chart reading there too. Either way, I'm sending y'all all off with a lot of love for this Pisces full moon, and I'll see you next time for the Virgo new moon in 2 weeks. So September 10th is the Virgo new moon. So yeah, take sweet care, cousins, and remember, deep breaths.